Our contributions in education will be our legacy in this industry.
Whether it's through live education or maybe through social media, we're always trying to make a personal connection with you, the learner.
At Sanvia, we believe our smile is our business card and our personality is our logo. And how we make people feel after you experience our education and tools is our trademark.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us, my friends, and be a part of the Sanvia community.
Happy Wednesday, everybody! It's Andrew Carruthers, Education Director for Sanvia. Welcome to another Wellness Wednesday, where we get to talk more about the health and wellness aspect of our lives. Not so much about hair, but we definitely talk to hairdressers and about hairdressing, so you're in the right place. Hey, Adina. Hi, Cindy, Sarah, Diane, Margarita, Tammy, Nellie, Brent, what's up? Wesley's in the house. Well, he was in the house. He might not still be here, because that was back at 3:30. But welcome, everybody. So before we kick off with our guest, I just want to talk a little bit about upcoming events with you guys, because we've got a lot of super cool stuff coming very quickly here. So we've got August 23rd from 2 to 5 p.m. You have an opportunity to do hair cutting and finishing with Sam, Ruth Roach, Lauren Hagen, and Adina Das. This is a super cool opportunity because this is going to be as close as you can get to a hair cutting and finishing hands-on experience through the Redken Exchange. So redkenpro.com/education. Of course, our homies at Behind the Chair, they have a huge event going on August 23rd and 24th. Sam will be on 11 a.m. Eastern on the 24th, so make sure you get your tickets to that. August 24th, guess what? I'm taking over Mannequin Monday. So on Mannequin Monday, we've got the Blow Dry Bonanza happening. Super excited about that. We're going to talk about everything you need to know about blow drying. Then August 25th, our good friend from Canada, George Joa, he's going to be with us for Transformation Tuesday. He's got a lot of great content to share with you about what is happening in his salon and how they're kind of transforming and adapting to, I don't like the term new normal, but we'll go there. So, of course, that'll be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. Then next Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday, we have Jen and Matt Martinelli. They're the co-founders of Canvas Me. They have an incredible story about how they really took the big leap to be able to have the lifestyle that we want, that they want. So I'm excited to have them on to share their story. And we have August 30th, the show must go on. You've got Sammy, you've got Anna Peters, and our very special guest, Tippy Shorter. We're going to be talking about lived in precision. So mark your calendars for August 30th. We'll be kicking off at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So as you can see, tons and tons is coming your way as far as education. So today, I want to jump right into it because talk about an incredible story. This woman has a mind-blowing story of her transition from overseas into business ownership, into just completely transforming her lifestyle. And she's going to talk to us about something that is really important for me to hear, which is transforming our perspective around money and finances. So everyone put your hands together. Welcome, Miss Ronit Enos.
Hi, everybody. So good to be here. Hey, Andrew. I'm so excited to be your guest. Now, I have a little bit of sun reflection right here, but you know what? We all need those rays.
It's giving you a beautiful glow.
Oh, good, because I do blow my hair out.
So, Ronit, tell us just a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Okay, so my name is Ronit, and I've been in the industry, in our beautiful beauty industry, for, I would say, almost 30 years. Yes, a little bit, maybe a little bit more. But so I was born in Israel. As you can see, everybody always asks me where I'm from, where's my accent from. I've been here 32 years, so now it's a little bit different. So I always say I'm from Mars, because it gets the best reaction, yeah, I'm from Mars, now they're selling real estate on Mars. So yeah, so I was born in Israel, and shortly after I finished my Israeli service, a little bit afterwards, about a year later, I came to America, and I just joined the life in America. I married, had kids, but the very first thing is I'm a hairdresser. I've been a hairdresser for that long of a time, and then from there I opened a salon, a small salon, and then we went for a bigger salon, and years later, and we had a really good run, an enjoyable run. Sometimes it wasn't at all. We'll talk about it later. But then I decided, it's time to share with the world what does it take to have a really good salon, good business, profitable business, and then create a life that you want. So now we share that with our clients. We have a company that calls Salon Cadence, and Salon Cadence focus 100% on getting you to be very profitable in your business and everything you want to know about how to create a lifestyle that you can afford. So how does the company work for you? Yeah. So that's what we do right now.
Yeah. And one of the things you said to me when we were talking, sometimes I feel like these kind of statements are hard for me, because it's like, I don't want to put so much value on finances. But you said, like, okay, if you're profitable and you can make the money you need, then you can kind of fit everything around that. But if you're not, if you're struggling, then it's hard to make those things work. So definitely something we want to talk about today. We're going to get into this mindset around the finances and money and how to kind of shift that. But first, I want to kind of dig into your personal story, because to me, it's really it's such a powerful story of making decisions based on how do you want your life to look versus just, I don't want to say like the typical perception of what success is, but more from like what truly makes you happy. Because you moved here when you were, did you say 16 or 18? I
actually moved here when I was 21, and I got married at 20. So I moved it when I was at the end of my 21, and I got married at 22 right here. So I spent most of my childhood and my young adult life in Israel, and met my husband and moved here.
Yeah. Very cool. And you moved to, I think, New Jersey. Was that where you said you moved initially?
I landed in New York, and my husband at that time, Bill, he was living in Connecticut. So right. I lived for 2 years, about 2 or 3 years in Connecticut.
Okay. Did you visit in New Jersey earlier? Is that what I'm remembering? Was there a visit to New Jersey or something?
Yep. And okay, right that's now, right. And right now I travel from Tacoma to Chicago. So you guys, I hope you guys like the backdrop, because it's got a little red, it's got a little black. I'm in the hotel room, so
right. So you moved here, got married, and you did you open the salon, or did you first work as a hairdresser?
Okay, so it's a good question. So I started hairdressing back in Israel.
You did?
Okay. Yes. And I did some education. I was really young, I go back to the roots of it. I always loved hair, and I loved shoes. Those are the two things that I loved so much.
Okay. How many of you guys, how many of you can relate out there, right? Hair and shoes. That rolls.
And I didn't know where I wanted to be at that time, but I used to go to my hairdresser, and I would color my hair every other I don't know, every other month, a different color. So one time, my hairdresser at that time told me, Ronit, you're doing this all the time. It's very expensive. Why you just come and work for me? And you know what? I'll teach you one or two things, and that was it. So I've learned how to do balayage, through him. I watched him. I enjoyed it tremendously. And then at one point he said to me, you know what? I recognize something in you. Well, I'll send you to L'Oreal Paris, and you can really learn how to do real balayage and get inspired. So I did.
So cool.
It was amazing. It was like the best.
And it's funny because we always think of balayage being this brand new thing that no one's ever heard of before. And, this was already happening in Europe and in Israel.
Yeah. It's all slap, beautiful, all paintbrushing. And then that's it. And years later, I came to America, and I met my husband in Los Angeles. And it's funny, I was telling my friend the other day about how I met Bill, but we met in LA. And fast forward, I'm a mother. I have 2 children. I don't know what I should do. I'm not practicing hair. So I said to myself, maybe I should go back to do hair, because I'm bored out of my mind. And I did, but it was different. Doing hair is very different than when you do it in Europe or you do it in Israel and you do it here. How you approach to customer service is very different here.
How so?
The funny thing is, okay, for example, and we never take tips back in Europe or back in Israel.
Interesting.
Yeah, so when I would get $5 tip for shampoo and hair, I would be like, oh, no, thank you, but no, thank you. What is this? Yeah. So it's a different culture. We're so used to in Israel, it's small boutiques. It's always very small boutiques. So it's very quaint. It's 4 chairs at the most. That's how it used to be. So, you're very much like family. You hug everybody, you kiss everybody, you just talk and schmooze. A haircut's supposed to be 30 minutes, 45 minutes becomes 3 hours. It was a whole different.
Hey, that's me. That's what I always struggled with being a hairdresser too.
So it's very laid back. It's really nice. It's like, let's go to the coffee shop and just do hair in a coffee shop, so That's the difference. So I had to learn a lot, and I didn't know how to cut hair. So I enrolled myself with Vidal Sassoon, and I took some practices with Vidal Sassoon. I've learned how to cut hair, and I practiced that a lot. And then from there, I decided, you know what, I really love Tony and Guy, the way they cut hair. So I want to try that, and I fell in love with that. So I acquired another skill. But the truth is, color was my passion always. And so I stuck to color. I worked for a couple years on Newberry Street in Boston. But I had children, and I lived in the South Shore. And I always had an entrepreneurial visions. And I said to myself, you know what? What if I open a salon here? But I didn't want to open a salon. I just wanted to open a little coffee shop. I missed my mom. I missed my sister. I missed my friends in Israel. And I said, I just have to open a little Tel Aviv on the beach with a coffee shop, and I'll just do hair. So 2 years later, we opened the very first Maxime. And Maxime in Hebrew means magnificent. And so there we go. That's how we started with our first salon.
Very cool. And how long did you own that particular salon?
We owned it for 4 years. When we decided that we outgrow our size, we were a 4-chair salon at that time. And there was a new commercial real estate was opening up about 2 miles down the street, and I really wanted to have a better exposure, and I wanted to create a different brand. So we completely rebrand ourselves, and we moved and opened a larger salon. and that was the second one. So we were in one location 5 years, and then the second location we started in 2006. So 2006 was the second location.
Okay. And during this time, were you full-time behind the chair and ownership?
Yeah, exactly. So what a good question. So having 2 children, right, and a husband that works in the corporate world nonstop. When we open it, I thought it's going to be what I dreamt. I'm going to open a coffee shop. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to have a cup of coffee with everybody. And I will have tons of employees. And I manifested tons of employees. And so a year later, I opened the second floor. And now we have a spa. So now I'm envisioning to myself, okay, let's just have another coffee shop. And before you know it, and I work behind a chair. And I'm thinking to myself, this is so great. Let me go and get my paycheck. And every month I would go to the bank and I'm thinking to myself, man, I know I worked so many hours. I did so much work. I know I have, every hour has been occupied. Well, where's my money? It's not in the bank. You know, what's going on? And I'm looking at the profit and loss statements, and the profit says you're profitable. My accountant tells me I'm profitable, but there's no money there. Yet I go home every night at 10 o'clock at night, work more, do some more emails, design a website, do all the stuff that we're doing. But I couldn't grow. And I was exhausted, you know. I had fun, you know. I travel, education, whatever I can do. But I couldn't get to that nirvana, couldn't get to that point where I'm having a cup of coffee and I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
It is an honor. Yeah.
How many of you that are out there that are salon owners, well, hairdressers to salon owners, can totally relate to where she's at right now in this story? Because I know I can.
Well, you know, you wear so many hats, right? Mm-hmm. You're the plumber, you know, you are the educator, you're the bookkeeper. If you don't know how to do the books, you should never be in the books. But you're a bookkeeper. You're also a software designer. You are a merchandiser. You're an inventory controller. You're doing everything. You're the psychiatrist for your clients and for your staff. You're the cheerleader when you're down. That doesn't mean anything. You need to cheerleader everybody, and you just no time to grow. You think you're growing, but you're not growing. You know, and more than anything, you have no time. Yeah. You have no time to read a book. You have no time for yourself. You have no time for your husband, and the children becoming, whether you like it or not, an afterthought.
Yeah. So. I think it's that point where you realize that getting busier isn't progress. You get to that point, you're like, well, I'm getting busier. And like you said, you're thinking, oh, well, my paycheck should be way bigger. I should be happier because, you know, we have more hairdressers, we have more success. But then you get to that point, like, but wait, I'm actually not making tons more money. I have less time to do the other things that I care about. And so you kind of hit that point, right?
I did. You know, I always wanted to be very successful. The Salon won many awards. You know, we were Best of Boston every year, 6 times in a row. We won Salon 200 several times. You know, we were in Lucky Magazine at that time. We were, you know, in so many publications, involved in the community. You know, we ran 2 nonprofits. We had great employees, and you know, we had a lot of great successes. But I would say that, you know, even hiring so many consultants and so many coaches, I applied everything I've learned. I'm a good student. So I applied everything that I've learned, but no matter what I did, whether it was a team-based salon, whether it was commission, whether, you know, I tried booth rental, I tried hybrids, you name it, I took it all. But I could never get to the point where I can say I'm successful. And success to me meant that the business can run without me, that the business will grow without me, or better yet, that the business work for the goals that I really wanted them to do for me. I wanted to travel. I wanted to sit on the beach and not worry about who's burning what, or who's pissing off what, or what's going on there. I didn't want to think about it. I wanted to enjoy. I wanted to spend time with the children. I kind of wanted to read a book. I wanted to take yoga classes. I started taking golf classes, and I could never even decided if I like it or chasing the ball or not, because I didn't have the time, I mean, at one point, I even had a situation where I cut my finger really bad. I couldn't cut. So I'm thinking, how do I do that? And no matter what I did, it did not reflect my paycheck, and it certainly did not reflect my time. So I had to figure out, what do I do? Like, how do I change it? I got to the point that 2006, when we moved to the second location, that I must not do something right. I was sitting at the table, and my son Will's teacher was one of my clients. And she says to me, Ronit, where's Will? And I said to her, what do you mean, where's Will? He's at school. And she says, oh, he wasn't at school. And I said, oh, he didn't go to school today? And she says, Ronit, Will has not been at school for 1 week. I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course he's been at school. He's not sick, she's asking me. I'm like, no, he's been going to school every day. I do his lunchbox. Well, obviously I've been missing a lot. I wasn't there. And at the same token, my daughter, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm doing a huddle in the morning, and I get a phone call because I forgot that my husband was driving my daughter to an audition for a cello playing in Boston. I missed it. I said, this is it. This is something wrong here, terribly wrong here. I got to change it. But I thought I've done so much. So I decided, I'm going to step out. I'm going to look what other people doing that they make them very successful. And here's what I found out. I found out that 70% of small businesses are failing. One out of, I would say from 1 to 7 years, they will be shutting their doors. They're lucky to shut their doors in the very first year. Otherwise, they're suffering all the way to the 7th year. 25% living paycheck to paycheck. 5% are thriving. 5%. I thought that was insane at that time. Well, I was one of those paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
And I just knew it. I don't want to do this anymore. I might as well quit if that's the case. It's just not worth it. So I looked to see what a different industry in the service industry are doing that make them really successful. And when I found out what it was, I applied it. And we grew tremendously from that point.
And what was it?
Well, it was 3 things. First of all, you have to think like a CEO. You have to have a mindset as a CEO. In order to grow, you cannot be inside the business. You have to think about it as which salon owners do I want to be? What kind of a business owner do I want to be? Do I want to just own a business, which usually the business owns you? Or do I want to be a stockholder or have a stockholder mentality in my business? Which basically mean that I need to empower other people and scale my time to do the right things, right? Yes. So that's a mindset. It's very difficult to leave the chair and say goodbye to something that you're so comfortable with and move on to the position that you're supposed to be, which is the visionary, which is the empowerment, letting people thrive. And if you want things for them, you have to make that sacrifice. And then you have to learn about money. You have to change the way you feel about money, And once you understand that money is not a bad thing, it's actually a great thing, then you switch a thought, you switch an action. That's really what happened. So that was the two things that I've learned. It was a mindset of a CEO, a visionary, a stockholder, because you want to be able to invest in your company. And if you cannot feel that you can invest in your company financially, then your company is not so worth that much.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that was the biggest aha, is how to really educate yourself about profit. Here's the biggest flaw that we have that I didn't realize that. We all think that in that perspective, income minus expenses equal profit. And that's the biggest flaw.
Right.
You need to think with income minus profit equal expenses. And the minute you apply that, you're moving quick. So
interesting.
That's one of the things. Yeah. I mean, money is not everything. No argument there, but it touches everything. If you want to write a check for any kind of donation or any kind of nonprofit that you want, if you want to buy education for your staff, if you want to invest in right now in supporting them in their growth, you need money and you need to be profitable. So,
yeah. Absolutely. So at some point, you started to recognize that there was even the next step for you too. What happened there?
Well,
after kind of like the salon ownership.
After the salon ownership. So, well, once we realized really what were the three things and we grew, we just did well. But listen, there were a lot of failures with everything. It wasn't easy all the time. You get to that point that you want to be. You get to the point that you travel, and you get to the point that you don't have to be at work all the time. Your team is incredible, but it's it's always going to be sticky. There's always things that you're going to have to fix in a business. That's what it's all about. My children grew, and they left the house, and they decided to travel, and they moved into a different state. And my husband and I, we were coming up to the place where we had to decide, well, what do we want to do? And we always wanted to work together. He was working with me at Maxime, but he was also working as a corporate in corporate world. And we've never shared a schedule together. We never did things together. We did, but it was always a challenge. So what we decided to do is we said, why don't we just sell the business, sell the house, and start doing things that we want to do, and figure out how, what's our next for us? What's the next for us? We always wanted to live in the city, so that's the first thing we did. We sold the house, we married our daughter, and we moved to Cambridge, Boston, and it was phenomenal. 2 years. We lived as urbanized for 2 years. It was so great. It felt like I was back in Tel Aviv and I was just doing the city things. But a lot of things came a little bit different. I really got involved with thinking, what is it that I want to do now? And I, always wanted to give back. And I felt deeply that I figure out how to live the life that I really wanted, how to have time with my family, how to be profitable. I knew exactly what's the options and opportunity to win this game. And I decided I'm going to write. And I took a whole year and I wrote a whole course of what you need to do in order to become profitable, have time to enjoy it, and create a company that works for your lifestyle, the lifestyle that you actually want. And you can do it. And you can do it in any service-based business that you have. And that's what I decided to do. And then I said to myself, well, now I need to learn how to monetize it, how to make money from it, right?
Yeah.
And then both my husband and I, we wanted to travel, and we wanted to have a remote business, and we wanted to have the ability to teach and to share this and to coach this to anybody who wants to have a lifestyle business that works for them. And that's what we're doing right now. So we're doing it full time. We're in third year in it. And our group, Salon Cadence, which is our programs and our solutions, our clients are, doing great. And they all are doing great even now through COVID. And that's it. It's a high-end luxury. I wouldn't say luxury, but I would say because we work hard. It's a high-end program. But you get there. You get to go to where you need to be. It's boutique, and it's good. Cool. And we're very lucky, But I will say, it's never easy to start and move and transpire and transform yourself to another phase in your life. It's risk-taking, and you have to take risks, Mm-hmm. And if you fail, you fail. You get up again. You got to try, because you have to be happy. And if I believe that we all were born to do something good. We all were born to give something to life. And what I've learned, I felt I'm going to give. And that's it. So I love it. I'm here right now in Chicago, and we're working with American's Beauty Show, the Cosmetology of Chicago, and we're working on something great. We talked about it before, and how we can do more and give more to the industry. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I say to everybody, you have to love money. You can, in a sense of not looking at it as a bad thing, right? Because when we're young, for some reason, we all have stories mm-hmm. that we tell ourselves. I don't know what's your story, Andrew. I come from a family that always had fights. My mother was very liberal. She loves shoes, just like me, and she wanted to spend money the minute she got it. And then I had a father that was very, very tight with his money, tight with education, and he wanted to save everything. And so they constantly fight about money. So I've learned at a very young age that money is a bad thing. When I was at school, that affected me how I looked at numbers. I was so afraid of numbers. I always failed in math. Hell, I decided not to even go to these classes of math because I'm a failure. Why should I go? Being afraid of numbers and thinking about money being something not good, I took it to my adult life, and that affected my life, that affected my business, right? Until I learned that it's not true. So.
Yeah. And Rosie, I see your question, and I think that through this conversation we might hit on it, but if not, I'm going to specifically ask Ronit her thoughts on it. But how many of you out there kind of have that same mindset from childhood, that money is kind of this dirty thing, or wanting financial success is somehow egotistical, or that it's not beneficial to our communities to want to have financial success? I'll be the first one to put my thumb up, because I grew up in I wouldn't call us poor, but we were pretty close quite a few times. And, money became kind of a dirty thing in it. And even to this day, probably one of my biggest challenges still to this day is that I'm fortunate that I make a decent enough paycheck that I don't think too much about finances, and we live a very comfortable life. But I know for sure that the reason I don't look at my paychecks and I don't look so closely at my finances, because it's this like dirty, scary, ugly thing. And I could probably be doing a hell of a lot better for myself if I did actually make it into something that was just more, what's the word I'm looking for? Healthy. Financial wellness. I know that you kind of have some ways that you work with your clients with this kind of stuff. So for those of us, because Mark said, oh my God, me, geez, I'm not alone. Adrian said, money gives me anxiety. So we definitely have some people, and we got a couple of thumbs up on that too. Definitely have some people in this room that are like, money is this dirty, ugly thing. I shouldn't want it. It's ...
I don't deserve it. I'm not worth it. It's all those lies that we keep telling ourselves from childhood. I mean, you could have been born in a house that have a lot of money, and that affected you in a bad way too. You can be born in a house that have a little money or not money at all. The truth is that we keep telling ourselves so many lies about it that we convince ourselves that it's not right. But here's the thing. What if you start thinking a little bit different? What if you start thinking, I need security. I need financial stability. I need to have consistency. I mean, look where we are right now with COVID-19 after this whole thing. It gave us an opportunity to start thinking about, we need to have some cash in the bank. We need to have a buffer. And if you're going to be selling hours, time, you better sell it so it reflects what you want. What do you really, really want? And not think about how, right? So we talked about it the other day, Andrew. So what is it that we really want? And what we really want will be different for everybody. And I want you to think even more. I want you to think about, okay, what if you can think about what's the perfect week? What kind of a week? If you wanted to live your life the way you want to, what would it look like? Wherever you are in your life, even if you're 20, you're 30, you're 40, you're 50, what do you want it to be? Just when you go into something, think about it. I want to work 40 hours a week. I want to work 80 hours a week. I just want to work 20 hours a week. Okay, that's great. What do you want to do with the other time? What are you looking to do with that other time? How are you going to spend your time other than work? What do you want for travel? Do you want to travel? How a year is going to look in your life?
Right.
What a month look in your life? How do you want to show up into life? Then put a number to it. Maybe it means that you just need to make $10,000 a month. Maybe it means $5,000 a month. Maybe it means $3,000 a month. Depends where you are, what you want. Now, it's just about a formula. Now it's about calculate your worth. And then that's it, That's one way of thinking about that. And of course, you have to become savvy with those numbers. And that's all it is. Really, that's all it is. And you can achieve milestones in your life, because you might not know what you want to do in 5 years or in 10 years. But you can know what you want to do right now and how you can design that.
Yeah. Rosie is asking, what about when there was no money growing up, but now that you're an adult, and I think that's kind of what you're suggesting, is that these are the hard things that I think a lot of people go through. Is we kind of get brought up with the mindset of lack, that there's not enough, that there never will be enough. And so we come into our adult life with those perceptions. One of the things that I definitely like about what you're suggesting too, and my friend Steve Gomez, who's also a business coach, he kind of says the same thing. He's like, work backwards. because very often we kind of look at, okay, well, here's the pricing structure in my neighborhood. This is how much people typically charge for this kind of service. This is how long it's done. And he's like, go backwards, go the other direction. Start out with how much do you actually want to make? How much do you need to make to have the lifestyle that you want? And then reverse engineer it. Then start looking at, okay, well, I want to make this kind of money. Here's how many hours I want to be working a week. And then start to build your pricing structure off that. But that can be really scary too, because what if it puts you into a pricing structure that seems too high?
It's a good question, and I always like to answer it that way. And too high for what? Too high for what? You know, you have those thoughts that come into you. I'm not good enough. I'm not busy enough. Mm-hmm. I'm not there yet. But you know, it's the same concept of pricing, right? And we're talking about our industry and our pricing. How do you know how to price right? What do you usually do? Typical what salon owners do or stylists do, they're going to shop around and they're going to see what other people are doing. And they're going to say, well, I am not Sam Villa, I'm not Andrew, so I cannot charge a lot of money. I'm not a celebrity hairdresser, but it's not, you know, it's not that. It's about, look at your expenses. What do you have for expenses? Just take that. And then look at this as a mindset of, what do you actually want to have? What's the cost of it and how you can get there? Now, if you always going to think about, well, I got to do this, and this is how, and plan a strategy, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. You got to look at this as, this is what I want. Here's where I am. And start thinking about where you want to go. Like, start imagining the outcome that you want to go. So if you can close your eyes, if you visualize, like I do visualization, meditation every morning when I wake up and every night before I go to bed. And I'm visualizing. Now, I'm not always visualizing about money, but since we're on the topic of money, let's talk about that.
Yes.
What if you look at your account number? And if you don't remember the account number, find the last 4 digits of your account number, okay, in your bank account. And I always think to myself, okay, so what if you just imagine to yourself those coins are growing and growing every morning? You know, just imagine to yourself every morning coins are growing, right? And then you do it every morning and every evening. That's what you do. And also you envision yourself traveling. You envision yourself in the place that you want to be. You know, the mind is a goal-achieving machine. It's a goal-achieving machine. It doesn't differentiate between what's real and what's not real. So it's never going to stop all the time. It's going to get to how to get you to that place. The brain is going to help you get there. That's true. Mm-hmm. But if you let the brain know, this is where I want to go, then you're going to get there.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And I think people get stuck on this concept of the secret, you know, is like people get it. Well, you can't just like think about money and it just all of a sudden appears. And first off, how do you know that that's not true? But second off, even if you don't believe that it could happen, second off, you have to know that there is a scientific principle of the mind that it will move towards what you focus on. If you don't believe me, stare at the sidewalk as you're driving. You're going to be on the sidewalk.
Absolutely. You know, so it's exactly, if you're going to worry all the time. I mean, I had this conversation with one of our clients, and if you're worried about money all the time, then it'll be a worry. It'll be a worry. Yes. But if you condition your mind and condition your brain to think about the outcome that you want to get, the why behind it, right? Why you're here, then and it doesn't mean that you want to be a billionaire, you want to be a millionaire. If that's what you want, that's great.
Sure.
But what if what you want you already have financially? It's already there. You just don't know it because you're blowing it away. It goes out of your account before you even know how much you have in there. You gotta know your numbers for sure. But the mindset has to lead you to where you want to be. And when you said manifestation, I don't know if it's true or not. I'd like to think that it's true. But manifestation is more about thinking about what you want and let the brain get you there. It's not like it's going to appear on a magic carpet and you got what you want. You're going to have to work for it. And you're going to have to work hard for it, for sure. But think about the good stuff. Don't think about what you don't have.
Yeah. Tara just commented, Tara, that she's on most of the time we're watching. Vision board would be a fantastic place to do this, because again, everything that we do to keep targeting the mind towards that thing that we want, instead of keep targeting it at the thing we're trying to avoid. Actually, this was something they taught us in a motorcycle training class, because we talked about obstacle avoidance, and they'd set up this long 2x4 across the path that you had to go through. It's like, do not look at the 2x4. Look at the skinny little area between the 2x4 and this side of the road. It's like, focus your eyes dead on that and just act like the 2x4 doesn't exist. No problem. You could weave right into that tiny little space. But the second you took your eyes off that tiny little space and looked at the 2x4, you hit the 2x4. And so, of course, that's not saying that you shouldn't be conscious of challenges and things like that. But I think we get so caught up in just constantly kind of beating ourselves up with the old stories that we have, and it takes a lot of work. Like, that's work too, Ronnie. It's not easy to change mind, but like Tara said, do things like vision boards, do things like you're saying, spending actual time, dedicated time and space to create those mindsets, because they don't just accidentally happen. You can start thinking differently right this minute, but I promise you, tomorrow morning when you wake up, the old programming's still going to be there. So you have to work at that too. It's like re-exercising a new muscle, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we make a decision in our businesses and it doesn't always work. You lose money, you gain money, that's the game, you got to keep moving. But you also, like you said, you envision where you want to be, how you're going to get it. It's going to happen. But also when it comes to, things that you can change, what are the things that you can actually change? So can you change? What if, ask yourself that question. What if I decide that I only want to work 40 hours a week because I will be able to enjoy my other 30 hours doing the things that I really want to do? Okay, so what's the 40 hours worth? What do you need? And then calculate a formula. And the formula says, well, maybe you need to make $100 an hour. So easy to calculate, right? If you're a hairdresser and you know that you need to execute $1,000 a week, how many hours can you do that? If it's if you can create $100 income, right? So that's the first thing we need to do, is need to measure. We need to measure what we do, so we know where we are in relationship to where we want to go, right? So just knowing that, and then have your brain believe and train it slowly by doing vision boards, by visualizing in the morning, visualizing in the evening. And I think the best thing to try to do is just to try to be consistent about it, And if you didn't do it for a week, I mean, during COVID, there were times where I couldn't even think about the visualizing. I didn't want to. then zigzag right back into it whenever you can and keep going. That's kind of life, what it is.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Mark was asking, what is the book? I need it. So is this part of the book that you wrote?
So, hi, Mark. How you doing? The book, what you can get, I'm in the process of writing a book, but the book depends on what you do. This is a great book. I highly recommend the book, The Profit First. That is the method that we work with. But for any kind of guides, we wrote a wealth guidance, and you can go over to my website at ronitenos.com. Just follow my name. And the guide is right there. Just download the guide. You will have the wealth guidance. There's a lot of great tips. And if you want more of a good read, it's The Profit First. Okay. That's the methodology that we use with all of our clients, all of them. So yeah, go there. It's simple. Just download it. You got it. If you have any questions, send me an email. Or just come and be my friend on Facebook or on IG.
Perfect. Yeah. And whoops, hang on. Doing too many things at the same time. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good, Andrew. I am trying to do this on my own when I do live stream. It's just, you're so good. You move so quickly.
I've done it a lot. The StreamYard, luckily, is pretty easy. Sorry, I'm just reading one question here.
Sure.
This is a great question, actually. I'm going to bring it up on screen so we can see it. Okay. So, not sure if anyone else has had this issue, struggle with balancing with what I need to do to survive in the present with what I need to do to build myself up for the future. So what's your thoughts for Hannah?
So it's a really great question. Now, Hannah, what do you do?
It might take her a minute to respond.
Sure. And what is your challenge? What is the number one challenge? And I'll wait for that. I'd love to answer that.
And while she's typing, Mark gave you a thumbs up and he's going to connect.
Awesome.
Yeah, Jay Gonzalez said manifestation is a huge part of his life. Visualize it. It's the power of now.
Yes, the power.
Great book, too.
A great book. Yeah.
Tony says she believes in hair gods. That's awesome.
I do too. Every haircut, $500. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of if you know your numbers and you know exactly what you want, then now you can design it. You can design it. It doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that it's going to happen in 1 year, but you give yourself a deadline and you create those opportunities. For example, if you know that, we're talking to our community, right? Our beauty industry. If you know that, for example, whenever we start working with any salon owners, we're going into their menu and we look at, I don't know, there's like 30 items on that menu.
Right.
Have you don't need 30 items. Look to see what are the 3 or 4 most favorite services that most of your clients do or want. And then measure it to your hour. Just measure it to your hour. What is the income that you get it from just 1 hour? What is the service? And then look at your expenses. And look, is it a profitable service? Should you offer that service if it's not profitable? Can you make it profitable? Can you elevate your prices? So say it costs you $100 an hour to be in business and you bring in $100, then you're not making any money and you will never make money. Right. So can you lift it up by 20% and charge $120? And then can you lower that $100 cost to $80 cost? And now you're making $40? That's a lot of money, right? So if you can start thinking just like that, that will be extraordinary, right? So now you're going to start thinking, if you're going to start visualizing the coins are growing in your account over every morning and every evening, and you know how to make money per hour now, then that's going to happen. It's just going to happen. You know, it's just the knowing is power.
That's one of the things I've been reading a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Here.
What's that?
I'm trying to hide from the sun.
You're doing a great job.
Oh, good. Tell me.
I've been reading a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza lately. And that's one of the things that he really reminds me of is that we don't necessarily always have to know the how. We just have to kind of create this visual of what. Because if we get really, really clear on this is what I want things to look like, this is the way I want my pricing structure to look like, this is the kind of proper profitability I want to have. If you start from there and you keep focusing on that's the vision, you put that as this is what it's going to be, this is how it's going to be, you experience what it would feel like to have that, then things kind of start to come into place.
Yes.
And the thing that you didn't know how you would possibly do, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, wait, this opportunity just all of a sudden came up. Yeah. And I know, again, that might be a little woo-woo for some of you, but it's not just woo-woo fairy dust kind of stuff. Like, again, the mind naturally moves towards what you focus on. So if you continue to focus on those outcomes, you'll naturally be drawn towards things that start to put into that place.
So
okay, we got a couple responses back from Hannah here.
Okay.
So, okay. I get what she's saying, because she is a hairdresser, but she's also working in the service industry, and she's working a second job while she's building her clientele, which this happens super, super often. Especially, I'm going to assume, Hannah, that you're a little bit younger or newer to the. Oh, well, she said she did work in commission salons for several years. So it sounds like trying to build up her booth rent clientele. So, yeah, a lot of times people get sucked into this thing. I'm like, well, you know, I'll work as a like a server at the restaurant. I'll meet people that'll help me fuel my clientele, but then it's pulling you away from the chair. So, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of thoughts on that. We had a lot of conversation today. You know, we were talking about different personas that we want to attract to the show this year. I mean, obviously 2021. And you know, I get this a lot, Hannah. You're not the only one. Okay, mm-hmm. We all start someplace. So I just want to honor you and tell you that that I love that you ask those questions, because many people probably are wondering how they can do that. The one thing I'm going to tell you, it's not easy. So if anybody telling you it's easy, no, it's not easy. And as a matter of fact, it's never easy. I don't know great things that has always been easy. Yes, it's easy to lay on the beach. That's for sure. It's so much fun. But you don't do it every day, right? So
why not?
No, I know. I want to do it every day. Why? Because the Pacific coast is very cold. I can't go inside the water. I gotta go to Florida for that, right? Or like go to the islands. But here's the thing about this. I would ask, Hannah, yourself one question. What do you really want? What do you want? Do you want to work full-time as a hairdresser? And do you want to be busy? Is that the ultimate goal? Is it? Or no, I want to work 30 hours a week, and I also want to do this. then what is the this? What is it? What do you want to do in those this? And if you type the answers right now, by the time they'll come up, maybe I can answer it. If not, you can always reach out to me. But if you know what you want, now you can work backwards, like Steve said, right? And you work backwards by saying, okay, so if I really wanted to be a hairdresser, do I really need my second job? What is my second job going to do for me? And this is a typical question all the time, because you're afraid to let it go. It's comfort. There's another income, but you're stopping yourself from blossoming on the other part, if that's what you want to do. Are you enjoying where you are? Do you want to consistently be where you are? Maybe that's not where you want to be. Maybe the environment is what you want to be. Know what you want first, then put a number on it. Put a number. If your rent is $2,000 a month, I'm just throwing a number. If your utilities and food and everything else is another $500, $2,500 a month is your expenses. $500 extra is for fun, for travel, for whatever, education, whatever it is. Let's say that $3,000 are your expenses. Put another maybe extra $1,000 for shits and giggles, and then work backwards. You're telling yourself, I want to work 40 hours, take $4,000 divided by 40 hours. How much do you need to charge per hour?
Yep.
Now it's the mind telling you, you're not worth it. It's not enough. You're not good enough. You're not like Ronit. You're not like Sam. You're not like Tabitha. You're not like the big shots. But I'm going to tell you one thing. You are. And it's just a mindset.
Yes.
So are you worried about screwing somebody's hair? I still do that. I screw about everybody's hair. This is not a lie. I'm in my, I'm not 20 years old anymore. And I will tell you, even though I have fear, many times I fear, should I do this? Should I not do this? The other day I said to my husband, it's been 3 months and I have not traveled to my clients who in the East Coast to do hair because, I couldn't. But right now, because I didn't do that, and I didn't spend a week in the East Coast, I had so many opportunities, and my business doubled. Right? My business has doubled. Is that what I thought? No, but I was visualizing. I want to live in the West Coast. I want to be with my kids. I want to be with my husband. I want to do things. I didn't even plan on that. Something happened. It stopped us. Other things happened.
Yeah.
It's
that's the big difference is just, yeah. And that's the big difference is you have to believe that it can happen. And,
yes.
The one thing I'll say too, Hannah, I was only a salon owner for a short period of time because it was definitely not my path as a person to be a salon owner. But I saw so many hairdressers go through that same situation of, well, I have this extra job. It's affecting my commitment to the salon. Without fail, every single time they left the other position, fully committed to their path, it worked out so quickly too. It wasn't even like, oh, I struggled for 3 or 4 months or something like that. It was like, it was such a quick process for them to basically get the clientele they needed to make up for the job, more focus. But she did respond too that she'd like to be busy part-time in the salon and design hair tools the rest of the time. So I think your recommendation to her then would be, okay, create that picture then.
Yeah. So create that picture. So you're saying that, so I'm sure I understand, you would love to design hair tools full time. If you could have what you want, that would be the perfect scenario. Yes?
She's saying busy part-time in the salon and then designing hair tools the rest of the time. So it sounds like designing hair tools part-time, salon part-time.
So what's the problem? You're not doing it right now?
No. She's working in the service industry part-time and at the salon part-time.
So what you got to create is that the part-time in the salon is your now money that will carry you right now to start designing your tools. So what does that mean? Make that part that you like part-time afford you the design of the tools. That's it. You just sometimes you just gotta jump to that cold water, even though it's so cold. You just gotta do it.
I did that this weekend on the coast. I jumped in the cold water. It was really cold.
Did you go in?
Oh yeah. I probably shouldn't tell you guys this, but it was so empty on the beach. I totally went skinny dipping.
Did you go to Secret Beach?
No, we were at Bandon Beach. We went to, I think it's called Seven Devils. And there was just no one there.
Yeah.
I was like, Michelle, and this is so not like me, Ronit. Like, I usually won't even take my shirt off in public unless we're at the beach or at the pool. And like, I was like, Michelle, I kind of want to do this. And the water was so cold. And I was just like, I'm doing it. I don't know what just got into my mind. I was just like, I'm just going to go for it. But it felt so good. It just felt so good to do something that was like, you know what? Screw it. And so in some ways, I just think it's a metaphor for what we're talking about, which is sometimes you just kind of have to say, I know this is uncomfortable. I know this is out of character. I know this isn't how I would typically do things. Yeah. But at some point, you kind of have to shuck the comfort and go.
Yeah. Totally. One of the things that I always do for myself, I don't know, Hannah, if that's going to help or not, but I create a worry list. And I write all my worries. What would happen such it doesn't work? What would have happened? And I go line by line of one thing that I'm worried about. So say something like, what if I'm not going to have a tool by such and such date?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all those worries can hug your brain power, your vibe. You need to have really good vibe so you can worry. So what are you doing not to worry? You take that item that you worry about and you create a plan of what to do that it won't happen. How can you prevent it from happening?
Yeah.
Right? So, and I only start with just a couple of them. Empty your mind from worrying. And I know it's not easy because I do worry. I mean, so many times I spend the night out, but I create my worry list and I try to write a plan of what can I do so it won't happen, so I don't have to worry.
I love that idea, just to get that out too, like get it to stop swimming around up here and occupying space, get it out onto a piece of paper. And I would imagine, Ronit, a lot of times after you write it out, you probably look at those things and go, actually, that's not really a big deal. It's not going to happen.
You know, one of the things that I did before we went in and built a training company, we built it from nothing. We had one client and we built over time, but before that, I had the same fear. What if it's not going to be successful? What if I'm not going to have enough money? What if there's so much competition out there? What if it's not going to help me? It's the same thing like you going, Hannah. What if we're not going to be busy enough? What if it's not going to be enough money? Well, then write down a plan of how much money you need to make being part-time at a salon, and there you go. There you go.
Yeah. So, Ronit, I just realized we're like blasting through our time. We're already like 10 minutes past our time, but which is not a big deal. It's not like we have something else going on. But just to kind of put a little bit of a wrap on this, is there anything else that you would love for them to know about kind of challenging this mindset around the finances?
Right. Yeah, sure. The mindset is a work of is progress. You gotta give yourself. Let's put it this way: if you're not going to make a change, then nothing is going to change. If you did make a change and it didn't work, that's okay. Just try again. That's what it's all about. Is it scary? Yes, it is. It's very scary. But, write a worry list, and it's gonna be less scary. I will tell you two things that if there's anything that I can help anybody here, I want you to understand this really, really good. If you fall in love with saving money more than spending money, then you're on the right track. Again, if you fall in love with saving money more than spending money, you're on the right track. Even if you saved $1 a day and you do it every day, then that will become a habit. And that habit will really set you free. And if you can read the Profit First book, which soon we're going to have that book with us, I will tell you, and go to my website, just download the guides on how to create wealth. But if you do, that will change a lot of your money story. So those are the couple of things that if I can bring any kind of goods to everybody, you follow those two, you will be okay. Beautiful. More than okay.
So best place to find you is Instagram, Facebook, website?
Yes, exactly. If you go to my website and you download the guide, and if you feel like this is talking to you, you can go ahead and schedule a time with me. But if this was great enough for you, you can always come and chat with me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm there. Yeah. Beautiful. And come and see us at Huddle Time with Ronit. We're on every Monday. We go live with American's Beauty Show, and come and check us out and listen to some really great people like Andrew.
Yes.
We have a lot to share with you guys.
Yeah. So. And Ronit's really easy to find because everything is under her name. You can just go Ronit Enos on Facebook. Her website is Ronit. Actually, I'll pull it up here one more time for you guys. RonitEnos.com. So super easy to find her. And I will tell you, just from the short time I have known her, she is such a good-hearted person. So please, if you do have questions, you do want to reach out to her, don't hesitate, because she is definitely not the kind of person to put out that invite and not follow through. So definitely reach out to her and connect with her. Ronit, thank you so much for spending your time with us. It's not lost on us that it's not free time all the time. So it's just, we're so thankful for you to donate this time to share some of this content, and also just your incredible story, because I find that super inspirational for me, just knowing that, you took those big leaps yourself. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. This was such a pleasure. Thank you so much. It's so great to talk to you, Andrew. I know we're going to continue doing that. So thank you for having me. And it's always great to share stories.
Very nice. All right, my friends, we're going to wrap it up for today. We will see you next week. We've got Mannequin Monday with Sammy. We've got Transformation Tuesday. We've got George Joa joining us next week. And then, of course, next Wednesday, back here for Wellness Wednesday. And we've got just tons and tons coming up. So I'm going to pop on the schedule for a few minutes just to let that sit. And if you're curious about what's coming up, the schedule will be up on screen for you guys. And if not, you can find, of course, all the information on our Facebook and Instagram. So thank you guys so much for joining us this evening, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.